Hey, hi everyone. This is Sai from Let's Upgrade. So let's talk about how to get your certificate. It's very simple. You will see two links in the description. Number one is the place where you have to go and mark your attendance. Marking your attendance tells us like, okay, you are a legit student who have attended this particular session. Link number two is your assignment. This is where your 90% of the priority is. You have to go and submit the assignment that is given to you in this particular session. Once you're done submitting that assignment, we will be evaluating that. We will send you an email. If you get the passing criteria, then only we will give you the certificate on a particular date that is mentioned again in the description. Please check these three things, and this is the way how you will get a certificate from Let's Upgrade. Number one, mark your attendance. Number two, just go ahead and upload your assignment. Check for the email that you have received it, yes or no. What is the feedback that you have received from your trainer? Number three, check on which date the certificates will be released. Thank you. Bye. All the best. Happy learning.
Hi everyone. Today we want to discuss how we can accept the file uploads to our cloud storage. Okay, so if I ask you how we can upload our file to cloud, it looks like a very simple step. We can simply say that our browser will upload the file to our backend, which is our Node.js server in this case, and it will upload the file to the S3. Looks fairly simple, right? But now imagine 10,000 user upload 100 MB videos through your Node.js server. Your Node.js server will just die, right? Because if you see that if you're getting 100 MB file from 10,000 users, it's already like 100 times 10,000. So it's already 1 million megabytes, right? So it's almost equal to 1 terabyte of bandwidth, right? So in this case your server's bandwidth will act like a bottleneck, and it will stop the upload from happening. Basically your server will just die, right? So what can we do over here? So if you see, we don't have to directly upload our file through our Node.js server. We can directly transfer it to our cloud storage. But how can we do that? So why are we having, first of all, let's understand why are we having the Node.js in between. It's taking care of authorization and secure, basically acting like a security layer, which is saying, yeah, if file is coming from here, the file is coming secured, right? So this is the job done by Node.js. So what if we have something over here? What it does, it will just go to Node.js, authenticates, and it creates another layer which will just directly upload the file to our S3, but with authentication already done, right? So this is uh, how we should have our system, because otherwise our server will just die. And the thing is, our backend should authorize uploads, not should not carry bytes, right? So this is what we are aiming for. And second thing, which the second problem which we are gonna face over here is, let's say I am uploading 2 GB of file, okay, and something happens, like there's already, the internet connection goes down, something happens, and the upload stops at or fails at 1.9 GB. So we have to start again, right? So this is the pain point which we are facing. So yeah, so whenever we are creating a structure, we need to know, like basic line should ask backend that Node.js, can we upload the file. If backend gives approval, it should just directly upload the file to the S3, right? So what I mean is, it should first go on the backend, ask for the permission, and then just a second, it should again go back, and the upload should then happen over here. So this is the flow which we want to achieve, right? So the backend responsibility over here is to authenticate the upload, to validate it, and cloud responsibility is to store the byte and handle the scale like at which the data is coming, and handle the network. Okay, so this is what we are aiming for. So to do this, there's a feature in this cloud storage thing which is called pre-signed URL. So a pre-signed URL is just a temporary entry ticket to your storage. So what will happen, basically we'll send a ticket, we'll ask Node.js that, yeah, let's say like a real world example, let's say I'll go to this Node.js and I'll say, since Node.js has the entry ticket for the cloud storage, that will say, okay, give us a ticket so that I can enter to the cloud storage. It will give you a ticket, it will come to the front end, and from front end we'll directly upload the file to S3. Okay. So this pre-signed URL is like a temporary entry ticket for your storage. It is generally valid for 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, and it's only valid for a specific file. Okay, so this is the analogy of our cloud storage of our pre-signed URL. Okay, so now the thing which I mentioned was, let's say now if I want to upload a 10 MB file, let's say there is a, let's say, MB file. For this, I'll just get an approval from the backend, and from there, I'll just simply upload it to the server, right? I'll just upload it to server. But what if there is a 1 GB file? Now, if I say hmm, GB file, okay, and I want to upload this to the server. So how will I upload? Because the thing is, let's say if the download fails at 500 MB or 400 MB, we have to again re-upload the file, right? So there's a way of doing this, that is, we can split this file into chunks. Okay, like this we can split it into n number of chunks, so that so that uh, we'll upload partial numbers of file. Like, let's say I split this 1 GB file into 100 chunks, okay, of 10 MB each. So what will happen, I'll now upload 10 MB file, like one by one, and let's say for download stops at 500 MB, that means 50 chunks have gone, but 50 chunks are still left. I can then continue my upload, let's say my page refresh. So I'll continue my upload from the 51st chunk only. I don't have to re-upload the 50 chunk, right? So this is what we can do. We can basically split our file into multiple parts, and wherever it fails, we can restart the upload from there only. So there are multiple ways of uploading this. Let's say we can either have a hard coded number that, yeah, 10 MB 10 MB 10 MB want to upload, okay, and there are hundreds of chunks. But let's say if someone has a higher internet speed, okay, let's say someone is sitting at his home, over there, uh, he can upload bigger chunks over, right? Because since the, like, okay, so if I have a slow internet, 10 MB chunk will take, let's say, 5 seconds to upload. But if I have faster internet, 10 MB chunk will just take a second, right? So instead of then 10 MB, we can say we can have 50 MB chunks, right? So we can even have a dynamic chunks which we can upload. It's totally up to us how we can do it. Okay, so this is using this we can have a multi-part uploads, which will, like, make sure that our, even if we are uploading and it fails, it's a fault tolerance thing, and we can upload it everything, like, without even taking, basically we can upload it in a more reliable way. Okay, so this is one thing. So now there are two things for this. Now if I talk about the endpoints, okay, so I can say uh, one of the endpoint can be that, okay, I want to upload a file, so I can say create upload. Okay, so this create upload, what it will do, it will just trigger the backend, and creates a multipart uploads. Backend multipart upload. Okay. Second thing is, we can also say that there is a complete upload. Okay, so this will be triggered when all the chunks are uploaded. Then we can say okay, complete upload. Then this complete upload will like trigger an event to the backend saying ki, yeah, now all the chunks are ready, you can stitch them. Okay, so this is how we can have multiple endpoints. Now, like there's another endpoint which we can have, that is to abort upload. Like let's say I want to stop upload after 23rd part. Maybe I am coming from my Wi-Fi to mobile data, and I know if whenever there's a switch, it will stop. So I can maybe manually stop, and I can start it from then and there. So now how will I maintain from which point I have to start again? For this, I can maybe keep that data. Like okay, let's say let's say now if I talk about a file, mm, let's say there. So how will our upload begin? So what I'll do, let's say I have a file which is a 1 GB file. Okay, what I'll do, I'll just say to the backend that yeah, I have 1 GB file, and I'll just send this to the backend that yeah, I have a 1 GB file. Okay, we'll to code it, but just to know how we'll go, that will say I have a 1 GB file. We'll send this to the backend, and from there backend will say okay, since it's a 1 GB file, and let's say we are having a chunks of 10 MB each. So we'll say that 1 GB file is also equal to 1000 MB, almost. Okay, it's 1024, but let's say it's 1000 MB. And since we have one chunk of 10 MB, then that means we will have 100 chunks. Okay, so now backend will say okay, so backend will revert, will send a response back saying okay, okay, here are the 100 chunks pre-signed URL link. Okay, and you split your file into 10 MB each, and upload each 10 MB file on every chunk. Okay, so now front end will upload each 10 MB. Well, no, first it will split file into 100 pieces and upload on each pre-signed URL. Okay, so with this, our front end will upload on 100 links of 10 MB each. It will just split the file, and then it will do that. Once that is done, what will be the next step? It will now trigger another endpoint, which is just a second, which is complete upload. It will say okay, now since we have completed the upload, this will say that okay, complete upload is done. Now uh, now on this complete upload, we will basically say to cloud storage that on pre-signed URL we have uploaded all files on pre-signed URL, and you can now, I'll make it on new line, stitch them back and continue the upload. So we'll do this. Okay, we'll complete and like after completing the upload will be like, sorry, not continue, complete the upload. So this is how our file will be uploaded to our Node.js, to our cloud storage backend. Okay, but there's one thing which we need to show. Let's say now, right now we are talking about 1 GB file, but what if it's just a 10 MB file? So we need to have a strategy where we can decide that whether we have to, when we have to split the file and when we have to stop it. Okay, so basically we can say that yeah, if the file is less than 10 MB, we can directly upload it. We can just, we don't have to split the file, we can directly just give a pre-signed URL to the front end, it will upload the file. But if it's more than 10 MB, then we only will split the file. And let's say if file is 500 GB now, we don't want 500 GB file to be uploaded on our backend. So we can maybe add a check that says, okay, since uh, now the file is so big, we don't want to, we will just stop, ask them to not upload the file. Okay, so this is how we will implement our backend, that okay, so if file is this big, then we'll upload in chunks, and if file is bigger than that, then we'll upload directly that and directly into the backend. Sorry, I said in the opposite way. If file is less than 10 MB, then we'll upload it directly. If the file is more than 10 MB, then break the file into chunks and then we'll upload it. Okay, so that's how we will create our backend in order to uh, upload the file, and it will like act like a foolproof plan for uploading a file from our front end to the back end. Okay, so now let's dive into the coding part. Just to sum up what we are saying, basically our browser will not directly send it to the server and then upload it to cloud storage, because our server will act like a critical bottleneck over here. Okay, so instead what we will do, we'll use browser to ask from the server that yeah, we want to upload a file, and server will send the pre-signed URL over here to the browser, and then this pre-signed URL, using this pre-signed URL, we'll send this file to the cloud storage. Okay, and in case if it's a larger file, we'll use a multi-part upload to upload the file. Like if it's less than 10 MB, we'll directly upload. If it's more than 100 MB, or if it's more than 10 MB to 500 MB, we can say yeah, we'll split the file into chunks and then upload it. And maybe if it's more than 500 MB, we can say yeah, boss, we don't allow you to upload the file. Okay, so this is used by very big companies, like because for them this is a very, this can be a break or make event, right? So as I mentioned that if we directly upload it, our node.js will like become a single point of failure, right? Other, because it's not needed only. So yeah, this is the checklist. So if you see this diagram, that if a user goes, so let's say server is sitting on the over here, and there is a warehouse where they have to keep the item. So if user goes to the server and server only keeps the item uh, to the warehouse, server will like unnecessary will be overexerted. But if this server who is acting like a gatekeeper just say okay, you can go and keep the item to the warehouse, it's over here server will not be affected a lot, only user will directly upload. It's just that user needs to have an approval before going to the warehouse. Okay, so we'll just implement all of these, just just showing like what we will do over here. In case if there is any failure, then we'll just upload the file from whichever last chunk was like failed, we'll just upload it from there. Okay, so we can also have things, we can like, once we have a basic architecture of what we are implementing, we can later on add things like Like we can have parallel down uploads and a lot of more things. Like let's have a basic MVP bus, minimal viable product first, then we'll add more and more complexity to it. Okay, so yeah, this is how we will upload the file, and it will also help us reduce the cost because server will be less triggered in this, right? So this is the architecture which we will follow. Okay, now let's jump back to coding. Okay, so before we begin, we need to have our buckets set up in our S3. Okay, so if we go to S3, you can create your like Amazon account and have the credentials for your Amazon S3. After that, you will create the bucket. So for this bucket, I would like to name it. Let's say I call it lu file upload. Okay, I also not added my name just in case. And you can uh, keep everything for as default for now, and you can create a bucket. Okay, once your bucket is created, you can see that there are no files in this bucket. Now what you will do, go to a folder, and I'll add a terminal, and I'll segregate my folder by saying, I'll say cd backend, or I'll say make dir backend and frontend. Okay, wait, backend, just a second, wait. Okay, so now I have created two folders, backend and frontend. Okay, and I'll say go to code part. So with this, my terminal is open with backend and frontend. So now let's start with backend first. Okay, so in backend, I'll just say I want to have, I'll do npm init hyphen y. Okay, so with this, it has created a package.json file. Okay, now I'll install some packages which are needed for this project. So for that, I'll just say npm install, and these are the packages name which I want to install. Let them install. Okay, now if you see, I have installed Amazon S3 package, Amazon S3 pre-signer URL, yes, pre-signer package, express package, and uuid package. Okay, now let's create a server file as well. I'll say touch server.js. Okay, and I'll say on entry, I'll say node index.js, not index, sorry, server.js. Okay, I'll also say server over here. Yeah, so that's, this means that it's there. We can also test it by writing, we can say console log 3000, and we can say npm start, and it's working. So yeah, now we can start the development here. Okay, so as I mentioned, we need express here, so I'll say const express equals to require express, and I'll also say port, and in the end I'll just say app dot listen on port, serving on the port 3000. Okay, so this is how we are doing this now. So before we begin, we also enable the course in this, which is dot use course. Okay, so for this we can say const course is requires course. Okay, so this, with this we have done this. I'll do one thing, I'll disable it for some time because it will otherwise affect our coding bar. Okay, now I'll also add this so that we can send our request.body part over here without any issues. Okay, so now we'll have two endpoints. Okay, one is to upload the file, upload, wait, notes start, and we'll have sync function should have request response. Okay, this will be a start multipart upload. Similarly, we'll have another endpoint which will be post loads complete. So how we will begin, we'll say once our upload is done, so once our all our uploads are done, we'll trigger this endpoint complete. Okay, so now if we see what endpoints we will get over here. Okay, so before we begin, I want that let's set up the S3 bucket as well. Okay, so in order to set up S3, we'll create a new file called s3.js. Okay, in this s3.js, we'll okay, one more thing which we have to set up, we'll add another file called .env file. It will have all our secrets for this environment. Okay, so when in this we'll have Amazon access key. Okay, I'll write access for now. Okay, I'll have Amazon secret access key. Okay, again this, then AWS region. So this will be, since I am in India, so I'll say AP South 1, and then we'll have bucket name, bucket name. So this will be the same bucket name which I have used here, which is lu file upload conf. Okay, I'll just see. So this is the bucket name, and you will whenever you just sign up on AWS, you will get these two things and you can fill it accordingly. Okay, coming back to this S3. Yeah, so coming back to this S3, what we have, we'll say uh, first we'll import the S3 client. We'll say from S3 client equals to require AWS S3 client S3. Okay, so from this S3 client, what we can say, we'll say const S3 equals to new S3. Oh, S will be capital. Okay, S3 client, which is the package which we imported, and in this it will take two parameters. One is the region, which will come from process dot environment file. Okay, AWS region. Okay, I'll just say require dot env file dot config. Okay, and so that I can import the environment files. Okay, and second thing it will take is credentials. Okay, in credentials we will have access key id and the secret access key, which we are again taking from S3. So we'll say process dot environment dot aws key. This will be this one, secret access key. Similarly, we'll have a secret access key, which will be again this file. Okay, so this is the S3 client, and we'll export this S3 client as S3. Okay, so we have created this. Now coming back to our code. Okay, so for code, for starting the file, what we will do, we'll say that, okay, first we'll add everything in try catch. Okay, in try, let's write try first, then we'll import say const file name, oh sorry, not const file name, we'll have file name from there, content type, and we'll have file size. On this file size only we'll split the file. Okay, so on this file we'll say request dot body, and we'll have the data like this. Okay, now we'll add a check that if file size is greater than 5 GB. Okay, so we'll say since the file size is in bytes, so we'll say 5024, it's 5000 bytes, which is 5 KB, into 10024, 5 KB, 5 MB, and 5 GB. Okay, so we have uploaded the, so we'll just say if it's the file is more than 5 GB, we'll just say return status that file exceeds the 5 GB limit. Okay, so this is what we have added over here. Now whenever we want to upload the file, we need to have a unique identification number, so that every file which we upload is of unique name. Otherwise, if we upload with the same name, then our newer file will just override the old file. Okay, so how we do that, we'll create a key called const key, and we'll say either we can say, okay, uploads slash, we can create the unique identification key using this using this package called uuid, which we downloaded. So we can say const v4 uid4 requires from this. Okay, so with this package we can basically have the unique identification number. Okay, and we can say, yeah, that the file is uploaded like this. Okay, now once we do that, we have the key. Now we'll create a multipart upload command. Okay, so from where will we get that? We'll say const create command is equals to new create multipart upload command, which is coming from again AWS S3 client. Okay, and it takes parameters, which is this bucket from again environment file. It will take the key which we created over here, and content type from the request.query file. Okay, so we'll have this. After that, we'll just send this upload id, we'll create a upload id from this create command. Basically we are saying that, yeah, I'll just show you what I mean by this. I'll say const upload id is coming from create s3 command. Okay, actually it's not upload, yeah, it's the upload id. Okay, now let's discuss about how much we want to split our file. So we will say I want to have chunks of chunk size as 10 MB. Okay, let's make it 10 MB. Okay, and I'll say the total parts will be file size by chunk size, and we are using seal because let's say our file is of 950 MB. Okay, not 950 MB, let's say our file is 95 MB. Okay, now we want to split it into 9 10 MB parts and one 5 MB part. So if I simply divide 95 divided by 10, it will be 9.5. Okay, and we want the upper value, so we'll have 10 splits, 10 chunks, which is 9 full 10 MB chunks and one 5 MB chunk. Okay, so that's why we are having the math.seal value over here. Now I'll have the list of all the URLs on which we want to split our file. So I'll say const parts, I'll just say like this, or I'll just say signed URLs like this, and I'll just run a for loop for the same. Say for let part number this, part this, this is right, total parts, and I'll just say that const upload part command is equals to new. We'll have another thing called upload part command from AWS client, and we'll just say, oh, this is a function. Inside the function we have an object. We'll have a bucket from the, again, our s3, from our environment file. Keys we have created over here. Part number, we are saying, okay, this is the first part, this is the second part, like this. And upload id is the id which we are getting from s3. Okay, so this we have created the part. And after doing this, uh, after having this part, I'll say that, okay, now signed URL, I'll have a signed URL which is get signed URL, again the same thing. And I'll just mention what is the expiry time of this. So I'll say in 3600, this is in seconds, so that means 660, sorry, that means it will expire in 30 minutes. Okay, 60 into 3, sorry, but let's say it expires in 10 minutes, so we'll say 60 into 10. Okay, and I'll just push this signed URL into signed URL part. Okay, along with, I'll do one more thing. I'll also add this, and I'll also say part number is this. So I'm saying part 1 signed URL is this, part 2 signed URL is this, like this. Okay, so with this I have created this, and later on I'll just send this as a response. Upload ID is this, or I can just say, I'll say, okay, upload ID is right. I'll also send the key, and parts I'll just send signed URLs, and I can also say that chunk size is like this, that this is the file size which we are following, which is coming from here. Okay, so with this we can say send back that, yeah, you can now upload the file on this. Similarly, we'll have a complete part endpoint as well, which will have, so again, in after this is done, after our upload is done, okay, I'll just handle this. I can say full error, and I can say, yeah, failed to upload the multipart upload. Okay, so once this is done, I'll just add the I'll add the endpoint for upload complete. Okay, so for this, what we will do, uh, okay, so we'll get the upload ID first. Okay, upload ID will get the key. We don't need the parts for now. Okay, we'll say request.body. Okay, we are getting upload ID and key from request.body. Now, actually, no, we need parts also. Sorry. Okay, so we'll have this. Now I'll just send a complete command saying, okay, these are all the chunks, now just merge them. Okay, so I'll just use this complete multipart command from s3 again, and I'll say that bucket is coming from, again, this here, from environment file. Key is coming from key, uh, which is coming from the body. Multi-part upload part will be uh, coming like, in parts only, so we'll say parts, we'll just handle this in the front end only. Okay, multi-parts this, and yeah, once complete path is done, we can run this complete command. We'll say const uh, data, again, let's say data only, oh sorry, const data equals to s3.send complete command. Okay, now we'll just say, oh, we forgot to add async here. Okay, now we'll just say that response.json, we can say that the file is available at this location, and we can also send a success as true. That means our file is uploaded. Okay, and yeah, we can also handle the error part, which is console.error, and we can say multiply upload fail. Okay, so this is the backend code which we will use execute. Okay, now let's jump to the front end code. Okay, so now for the front end, we are using the vanilla JS. Okay, so I'll say new file. I'll call it index.html. Okay, for this index.html, I'll use a basic HTML document. I'll just say production upload demo, and in this we'll have a heading. Okay, upload to prod demo. Okay, in this we'll have a file input which will be type file, okay, which will upload, and then there will be an upload button. Okay, so after that we can have another section saying the, let's say we have a upload progress. Okay, so we can have one more thing with a section for upload progress. Okay, and then we can say we can also say that, yeah, we can have another div which will say div for file name. Okay, and then we can have a script file. So I'll do one thing. I'll so i'll add all the styling and css, so how it will work. Okay, then I'll explain each line of code accordingly. Just a second. I'll use a copilot for this because we don't have to, like, this is not a styling part, right? This can be done on its own. So just give me a second. Yeah, so I have added the styles using the copilot. Okay, so if you see, I have again given this production grade upload demo. They upload large files with resume capabilities. Okay, then I can say that, okay, so I'll say again, I'll have upload file on which I have set it on change this handle file select will work. Okay, and we'll say, okay, choose a file when we are uploading, and there's a button which will say, okay, upload, start upload. Then there's a progress bar which I mentioned, and there's a status. Okay, now let's come to the script part. Okay, so since I am using my backend on localhost 3000, so I said API base is this. Max parallel we can ignore for now. It has given me for some reason. Basically, it says that 5 uploads can be done parallelly, just to like speed up the upload. Okay, so there's an upload state null. This you can ignore. This you can ignore. So this is a set status key, which is like if it's uploading, it will say uploading. Otherwise, it will say finalizing. Okay, again it will just say set progress percentage. Okay, now when we upload the file, we get the file in file input tag. It was here. Okay, there's an id over here which is getting the file, and we can upload multiple files, but we are, since this is the single file upload, we are saying that, yeah, we are only concerned with the 0th file. Okay, if we get the file, then we'll continue the upload part. Okay, we'll say, okay, we'll add a text that, okay, file this is come. Now when we want to, okay, there's another function which is to calculate the size of the file. If it's byte, so whenever we upload the file, the size is in bytes. Okay, so if it's 0, then it's a 0 bytes. If it's 1024, we say, okay, it's bytes, kb, mb, gb. So every time we'll divide it by 1024 till the time it's less than 0, till the time it's more than 0. Okay, and we'll get the mb, gb, kb accordingly. Okay, now when we click on start upload, okay, this is the onload file. So I'll come back to this, why are we having this. Okay, okay, so when we upload the file, we'll say, yeah, file should first exist, otherwise no point, right? If uh, there's this is not there, this is not an issue. Okay, like if upload state is already, like, it's not already in upload state, if file is or not it's a different file. Okay, so basically we have added the check that if no existing state is there, then only you upload a new file, otherwise you just take the existing file. Okay, we'll say, so base url was local 3000, we just start the upload file, and we'll send all these three things in the body which we handled, which we had in the, which we had it over here. Okay, we are just saying, okay, now let's send the file. Okay, and yeah, we'll just simply send the file, and if we get the response as okay, that means, yeah, our file is uploaded. Okay, now we'll say if we are not getting this upload id of parts in which we have to upload will just send an error saying invalid response error. Okay, and yeah, uploading till time it's not uploading. Once uploaded is done, then we are good. Okay, so now after we get the, so okay, if you remember, what were we getting in this? Moreover, I have added a setup course file so that we don't get the course error. I'll share, it's a simple file, nothing fancy. I'll share this file with you, which it's just handling the course. Okay, so if you remember, it will send upload ID and the URL at which we are sending the data. Okay, so after that, once we have the URLs, we'll start uploading the file. To upload the file, we have this upload part function, which is again a queue which will just upload the file. It will just break the file into single parts, and then it will just keep on uploading every chunk into a single file, okay, on each URL. And once that is done, we'll trigger next, and yeah, we'll go to the next function. If you go back to this upload single file, we have part number and the signed URL. Okay, we'll say start from, let's say, whatever the part number is. Let's say, since the index starts from 1 over there, and it starts from, so it starts from 1 over here and starts from 0 over there, so we'll just subtract 1 over here just to get the perfect index. Okay, and then we'll just hit the assigned URL, and once the upload is done, we'll just send this part number and e tag, which we handled in the backend. Okay, once the finished file is uploaded, we'll send, once the file is uploaded successfully, we'll say, call the finish upload, which will call the complete uh, upload part API. And yeah, so this is how the file will upload. So now let's say if the upload file stops in between, so we'll just store this thing. If you see, we are on, say, we are saying we get item from local storage. Okay, so that means if there's any file in local storage, that means it's an existing file. Previous file was not completely uploaded. If it's not there, then that means a new upload. Okay, so if you see this persist status, we have used it here. So every time you upload a file, we'll just say persist status. What this persist status is doing, it is set the item that yeah, we have, this is the state of currently uploaded file. Okay, so I'll just show you what it means. Okay, so now let's first run the file and see if it's working. Okay, so if I say live server, see, we are getting it here. Okay, let me just add the uh, tokens, AWS keys and tokens, just to confirm. Okay, so let's try and upload the file. I have added the keys. I'll click on choose file to upload. Let's start with a small file. So I'll do one thing, I'll go to network and let's see if it uploads. So when I click on start upload, it says upload complete, and you can see first I made a start request and response. So I got this upload ID, key, and the part. So since it's less than 10 MB, so it just sent a one part. It says this is the size of the chunk, okay, which is around 104 KB, which is almost as close as 107 KB. So now if I see here, see, now my file is coming over here, and this is the uploaded file. Now let's see again with the bigger file. I'll choose the 100 MB file now. So let's again see what happens. I click on start upload. So you will see that it's uploading. Okay, now if you see in start, I got 11. Okay, because it was 100.11, so it took 11 patch part numbers and gave me 11 URLs. Okay, and after that, if I see complete, then I made a complete request and the file is uploaded. And if I refresh, so now two files are coming, 100 MB and this one. So this is how we can upload bigger files on the cloud storage. Okay, thank you.